Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Maxwell Construction, who has been our sponsor since the very beginning. For over 30 years, Maxwell has delivered the highest quality projects by holding to their core values of customer satisfaction, positive attitude, respect, and excellence. So if you have any kind of commercial construction need, give Maxwell Construction a call today at 812-537-2200. Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. I'm Linda Hutchinson, the Executive Director of Rock Solid Families. And guess what, hon? We are in so much trouble.
Yeah? What do we do now? Let me just take this. What did I do now?
No. I'm just saying for our kiddos, we are in so much trouble because school is out this week. Like the kids, and this is crazy because it is mid-May, but in Southeast Indiana, I don't know when you're listening, I don't know where you live, but in Southeast Indiana in mid-May, our kids are out of school this week. And so the summer is going to begin.
Yeah, well, hon, you're acting like you're in a panic. You know, there are many mothers out there and fathers that say, I can't wait to have my kids home for summer. I can't wait. So you're kind of coming off here a little bit like you're in a nervous panic.
Okay,
what's going on?
I'm just going to be real because I know there's a lot of people listening that are in the same boat that I am. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do all summer? But I know there's a lot of people out there that honestly are ready to say good riddance to this school year. I mean, this school year has been like no other. So whether or not you have 3 days left or 3 weeks left or maybe a month left, I'm sure that I'm not the only one that feels like there's a lot to say goodbye to.
Yeah, like wearing masks.
Oh my gosh!
Distancing.
One-way hallways. Our kids had to go around sometimes because they couldn't get to their place.
Yeah, and that's a big school building to do one way. Oh my
goodness! Canceled, activities and events and sporting events were limited. Like you only get 2 tickets per event.
How about this? 2 words. Remote learning.
Oh my goodness.
How about that?
I hope I never see remote learning again. It didn't go so well at our house.
Now, our daughter kind of embraced that and ended up doing pretty well. Our son, not so much.
Yeah,
right?
It was
so remote learning.
Teeth.
Oh, man. I do think that this did prove one thing. I was in education my entire career, and there was always that sort of statement out there that someday we won't even need teachers because everybody will just learn on their own on computers. We just went through a 1.5 year long human experiment that online learning does not work well. I didn't say it can't work, but it does not work well for a lot of people. Yeah. And so teachers... we just want to give a huge shout out to you for all of the first responders out there, all of them, but especially the teachers. And we're just talking about the school right now. We just thank you guys for what you do. Hun, I brought up a point earlier, and I kind of want to call it out for what it is. I listen to as much social media and news as anyone. And, I've really been hearing the teachers take a bum rap. I feel it was a bum rap, but you have to listen to me, so don't judge on this yet. Teachers who did not want to go back to school because of the COVID and everything. And, I don't know where you're at and where you're listening from, but that didn't happen in our area. In our area, our teachers embraced going back. They're rock
stars.
They were cheering it on. Every one of our kids would talk about, the teachers just really welcoming them back. So as far as we are concerned, in our particular area, our teachers never once said, I don't think we should go back. They were all about, let's get these kids back in. And so a big shout out to our local teachers.
Yeah, we are teachers by trade, coaches, counselors. And so I want to just shout out to our students, first of all, because you guys went through a 1.5 years that no one ever expected and no one prepared you for. And so the teachers, the same way, principals, administrators, the secretaries, the nurses, the bus drivers, the custodians, you name it, the teacher aides, we just want to shout out to you. So, man, if you know someone that went through this year in the school system and you want to thank them, share the show and say, hey, we were talking about you today, and we want to thank you and just say you are the rock stars that got our kids through this. And so I have a feeling a lot of them are saying good riddance to that.
Yeah, let's be done.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk. Let's thank a few people first. Let's thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Maxwell Construction for coming alongside of Rock Solid Radio and Rock Solid Families as well, and just continuing to support our work. We want to thank you guys. So for any of your construction needs or your landscaping needs, contact Casey's Outdoor Solutions for your landscaping and Maxwell Construction for your construction needs. Two great companies, organizations in our local community here in Southeast Indiana that just do a tremendous job. So thanks, guys.
We also want to thank the city of Lawrenceburg. Recently, we were down there for a huge community-wide picnic at the Lawrenceburg Civic Center, and we got a chance to talk to hundreds and hundreds of people who stopped by our booth. And so maybe you're listening today for the very first time because of that event. And so we just want to welcome you. If this is the first time on Rock Solid Radio, tune in, because you never know what you're going to get. But we are so glad and we're thankful that we were invited to be a part of that event.
Yeah. You know? Also, I want to put also kind of a push out there that if you are new to listening to Rock Solid Radio, and we want to encourage you to go back into our library, listen to past shows, whether it was on parenting, marriage, just how you handle yourself as an individual. Listen to our past shows. We continue to dive into the past shows just because we actually use them in our work to help people just with continued encouragement and talk about particular subjects. So go back and listen to that. We also ask, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to our channel. We have a Rock Solid Radio channel, as well as the show of Strong Dads that Kyle Crawford and I do. Listen to those shows. Subscribe to those shows, and then give us a 5-star rating, because this is about getting the message out. And anytime you get subscriptions or high ratings, that helps move you up on the search engines list. So please help us out. We appreciate you guys out there, and we'd rather get these kinds of messages out than some of the other darker things that are being promoted.
Yeah. But now summer has begun, or is going to begin for you very soon. And now what? How do we navigate the summer with our kids? So we're talking to parents today about what do we do, how not just to help our family survive this summer, but also thrive. And so we're going to talk about that today on today's show. So we're glad that you've tuned in. But let's talk about what in the world are we going to do with our kids this summer?
Okay, so let me qualify this out as a man's perspective.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I know where you're going to go with this. I know. Hang on.
So,
let them figure it out. Is that what your answer is going to be?
No, not completely. Not completely.
Because that's usually what you say.
I think we do have to be involved in a lot of it, a lot of what we're going to talk about today. But there is a lot of it that we don't need to be involved with, and that is the entertainment side. So when we talk about the idea of, well, I've got to make sure they're in this many summer camps. I've got to make sure that they're, they've got a buddy to play with every day. There is a lot of that we as busy parents try to own. And as a guy, as a man, I can't really think of too many times that I ever remember my parents making sure we had something to do.
Right.
We had a lot of statements, more like my mom saying, get out of the house and find something to do. I mean, and that's where creative and imaginative work comes from. And so not all kids do that well. So I'm not saying you don't chime in. In particular, I will say that our youngest kid is amazing at it. He is amazing. You give him a tree, you give him
a rope.
That doesn't sound good at all.
It turns out fun.
You show him a skateboard, whatever, you give him a box of chalk, and he will occupy himself.
Yeah.
And again, that is a long-term benefit. And so I think it is important that we are not there to rescue our kids. We are there. That is a time for some more structured opportunities to learn and to grow, especially, age dependent there. But I just had, from a man's point of view, from my perspective, I'm not interested at all in saving my kids every day this summer.
I knew that was where you're going, but but hang on, no. I went back on my phone and I reminisced on where we were a year ago. and what we were doing in the month of May 2020. And it was very interesting because, I love pictures. And so I have tons of pictures.
You do.
Thousands and thousands of pictures. So I went back to see, in the middle of quarantine, in the middle of COVID, what were we doing a year ago in May? And so we were doing, you mentioned chalk. We were probably about on our 4th tub of chalk. We were about on our 5th jigsaw
We
puzzle.
didn't know what color our driveway actually was for about 3 months.
We loved the rain because it kind of like washed it away and started over. But, we did lots and lots of fishing and hiking and, camping out. The kids, like the boys especially, were camping out in the backyard, in the front yard, like in the woods, their own little camping. We had small little family gatherings. We were starting to do that even in the middle of COVID. And so we were trying to not spread COVID, but we were trying to see parents and grandparents and stuff like that. So, but I think this summer's going to be different.
This summer, we're going to throw in some traveling.
Yeah, a lot more traveling than we were.
Some traveling. Already looking forward to some of those big family get-togethers. We, love a big 4th of July.
Yeah, big graduation parties.
Memorial Day stuff, those kind of things. And so those are the opportunities to get the family together. And so definitely going to do more of that.
There's some people who were supposed to get married in 2020 that literally put their wedding on hold a whole year. And so, holy cow, hun, if you and I had to wait another year, I would have been like bouncing off the walls by the time that came. So, that's awesome. I think we learned a lot of great things. Like you said, our kids, we could not entertain them every day, all day.
Right.
We were still trying to work and still trying to do things. And so they had to figure it out.
Right. And I'm prefacing that with age appropriateness. And so it's not like, you leave a 2-year-old fend for himself. But as your kids get older, one of the ways that we can help them is to learn to help themselves. And so that's a big part of what summer does too, because it gives them more of the freedom. They're not being told what class to go to next, what's their next assignment, that kind of thing. And so that freedom and learning to manage that freedom is a big part of self-discipline.
Yeah. And speaking of self-discipline and kind of learning, we're going to talk a little bit about jobs, whether it's summer jobs or part-time, year-long jobs. We think that that's really an important part of a teen or a preteen or a young adult of becoming more independent and really a motivated kind of adult in their later years. And so, hun, let's talk a little bit about summer jobs. What kind of summer jobs did you have growing up?
So, well, I don't know, hun. I feel the need to talk about why I had a summer job because there was a pressing need for me to have a summer job.
And what was that?
So I desired a summer job. And it wasn't just to stay busy.
Oh, please, Mommy, I want to go out and work every day.
Yes, Mommy, please, can I go out and can I mow the lawn? No, that was not coming out of me. My parents were really good about the idea of if you want something, you better save some money to go do it. And so that whole idea from a very early age, my mom and dad took care of essentials of living, so it was never like I was without. But other things that I wanted, whether it was a special athletic gear sort of thing, whether it was a pair of different kind of shoes. I mean, even just recreational stuff. If we were going to go to Kings Island, those monies had to be coming from me, and so there was always a desire to try to get some of that money. So with that being said. We were like, we had a swimming pool growing up, and I was 4th, 5th, 6th grade, and I was taking care of that pool. By the time I was in 6th grade, I was fully taking care of that pool.
Wow. Did they pay you for that?
So we'd get like a little, I don't even know how much it was, but you get a few bucks here and there and stuff. We had poop patrol.
You tried that on our kids too.
Yeah, we did that. So we had a couple dogs, and the lawn had to be cleaned, and my mom used to pay. She paid by the load, so you go out there, and sometimes you split big loads up because they paid double.
That's wrong. That's kind of cheating. That's wrong.
Necessity is the mother of invention. So you go out and you do those kind of things.
How much did you get paid per load?
It was a nickel a load. I can remember that very clearly. A nickel a load. So we'd have some fun with that. And sometimes I will tell you, we fought for who was going to do Poo Patrol because it was quick, easy money. You could go out and you get your little shovel and just do the business.
Now, I would think that there's some inflation in that right now, but that would be an awesome.
Or you said like $5 a load.
not That's like the tooth fairy thing. But no, I'm saying if you have a young child and you're like, oh, well, this show isn't relevant for us because we have a third grader.
Right.
A third grader can take a shovel and go
absolutely.
clean poop out of the yard.
Yeah, sweeping garages, those kind of things, cleaning up in the yard, cleaning up sticks, those kind of things all the time, pulling weeds. But really, it wasn't. I mean, I did have a grass mowing job. I remember I got that in the summer of my 6th grade year.
Wow, really?
And that was a big job. I mean, when I think back of that, like, that was quite a bit of responsibility for a 6th grade
sixth
kid.
grader. Shoo.
But I did that, and I got paid for that, and that was really cool. But it really wasn't until we moved out to Indiana, and we had some property, and we liked dirt bikes. And so that was when all of a sudden the cost thing came.
All of a sudden it's like,
you're
those are
buying inner
expensive
tubes.
bikes.
Yeah, you're buying gas. You're buying equipment. And so in order to keep that fun hobby, that interest going, I was right away jumped into baling hay, working tobacco, and farm work was actually really pretty cool. I mean, I never dreaded. I mean,
even though sweaty, it sounds
but there was a freedom in it. Like, I remember even cleaning stalls and stuff, and it made decent money. So that was a lot of what I did. I did that all through high school, and then toward the latter years of high school, I got an official job at a grocery store.
That's right. And you loved bagging groceries. Even when we were first married, you would be like, come on, let me. He'd scoot the bagger over and he'd be like, show him how it's done. He'd like to slide it down his arm and into the bag. I remember those days.
Well, what was cool, and this is also, it speaks to what you learn when you're working, is that I loved working at the grocery store because there were a lot of guys my same age, and we stocked shelves and bagged groceries, and we were competitive.
Oh, yeah.
And so when that grocery truck would come in, we all had our own aisle. And I mean, it was game on.
Wow.
Who could get their aisle done first? Who could, and it had to be faced up,
yeah.
all of it
it's all
looking
about
great.
face the shelves.
Yeah,
right?
and then our manager would come through and kind of give you the check or not.
Wow.
And I mean, but it was cool. Like,
yeah.
We'd be just razzing each other and teasing. But I remember one time we had a stereo, kind of a whatever.
Boombox?
Boombox. That's what I was looking for.
Days?
Had a boombox in the back, and we had that thing cranked up. And one of the other ladies that worked at the store walked by, and she looked at the store owner, and she said, why can't we do that back in our area? And he said, when you can learn to work like those boys can work, we can talk about a boombox.
Really?
Yeah, I remember that very clearly, because it was game on with us guys, and we would knock out a truck and nobody's business.
Yeah.
So it was good
stuff.
Well,
we're talking about summer jobs.
Wait.
But also we did a whole show on chores and allowance way back when. And so you can go back in our library and check. And so we kind of talk about how do we help our kids with money management and responsibilities. We're not saying you pay your child for every job they do around your house, but maybe there's some expected daily chores like making your bed, emptying the dishwasher, that's just expected. And then there's extra things like the poop patrol or cleaning out the garage or washing the car or something like that maybe you would pay extra for. So we kind of talked about that in another show, but we're specifically talking about summer jobs.
Okay. Well, you're not getting off the hook
this
easily. I want to hear what your summer jobs were.
This is embarrassing.
Were you like a little princess?
Well, I'm just embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to say, and I don't know if my parents are going to watch this show, but I'm embarrassed to say my parents never made it a priority. They really didn't.
Yeah.
And I was that teenage girl. And I know there's some of you guys out here, parents, who are doing this to your teenager. And I really would not recommend it because thankfully you are the one that instilled some things into me when we started dating that I did not have. But I was that teenage girl who's allowed to hang out with her friends all summer, drive the car that my daddy bought for me when I was 16, using his credit card to put gas in it.
What?
I know.
Gosh.
I really had no real responsibilities or chores once school went out. I mean, yes, I set the table every night and I cleaned my room, but when it came to working for my money, I did not. And honestly, my first job was, I did some babysitting. That's true. I did do some babysitting, but it was cleaning my dad's office when I was in college.
Well, let me talk to that a little bit because First off, you were on target with a lot of other things. It wasn't like you were a misbehaving kid. It wasn't like you were wayward. It wasn't like you were spending money in a crazy way. No, but I know I know who you are, and I know that you were very much into volleyball. And I would say that, I mean, between summer camps and workouts and stuff, ultimately you ended up going to college on a volleyball scholarship. And so your parents recognized a level of talent there that kept you very involved in that. And so I mean, this is very different, especially when you have kids walking around the house going, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Or they're sitting there eating your chips and salsa in the basement.
Right. And they're not being productive and those kind of things. It wasn't like you didn't have a very full schedule with very responsible things to do. And I think that little tidbit there needs to be added, because we know a lot of kids who are very talented in different areas, and if they are developing that area and they're on target, and there's actually potentially they're learning all these skills of work and that kind of thing. It's really, a lot of what we're talking about here is teaching the opportunity to teach responsibilities and taking care of oneself. So, and it doesn't always have to be done through a formal job. So I'm going to give you a pass on some of that.
Well, thanks, honey. And I did learn those skills. You're right. But I was given money pretty freely. And I don't think that was the healthiest thing for me. I don't really think. I think I needed to feel it a little tighter so that I would have had the kind of the motivation to get a job. And there wasn't really. And so we're really talking to parents here about, why are our kids not going out and getting a job? Why is it that we see a lot of kids really foregoing a lot of these life transitions until much, much later, whether it be getting their license, whether it be getting a job, moving out of the house, going to college? Are we taking care of our kids so much that they are feeling coddled and unprepared for life when they are 18, 19 years old? I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's some of that. There's a lot of it, though, hon, that both parents are working and they just don't have time to worry about what their kids are going to be doing or transporting them to and from and all of that. And so I think some of this makes us look at the whole family dynamic and how it's operating. And again, we don't have it down pat at all. This is, it's a progress of learning, but I do think part of that is occasionally, and this is a great time to do this, the school year's coming to an end. What is the priority of your home? And so to occasionally revisit that, like, how well are we living in terms of getting to the ultimate goals and living to the values that we say we believe in? And hun, you and I have to do this all the time. So we do these shows and we talk about things we ought to do, but then we often go, we need to have a little family talk about what we should be doing, because we seem to be drifting off track. And life does that, right? You just get into different trends and routines break, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, this is not where we want to be.
Right. And, again, there may be some athletes out there who are in two specialty teams and doing extra practices and traveling. And so we put a lot of pressure and schedule on our kids sometimes, where it's hard, but that does create a good work ethic of just knowing how to grind it out. But if your child is not in this routine of really working hard for things, then a job can do that. And it teaches work ethic for them. It also gives them new life skills, of working with difficult people. I had a client recently, a teenager who deals with difficult people at work all the time. And she's learning how to kind of not come at them, like a lot of teenagers are when they get confronted with things they don't like. And so she's learning this because she's working with a lot of adults who are not being very kind. Yeah. And so she's learning about how to respect authority and listen to someone else's rules. You know?
Hun, I think, you point to one of the most important things that we need to help our kid do, and we do it through jobs. We see more now, probably really in the last 15, 20 years, of kids coming into those late high school years and into even college and not knowing what they're going to do, not knowing what their gifts are, what they like, what their talents are, okay? And so we always go to the lowest hanging fruit. I'll just do what's easiest, all right? And the result is people who drift. They drift not knowing. Part of the benefit as you mentioned before, about getting jobs is all really about life experiences.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe one summer I get a job and I'm building, helping on a construction site. Maybe another one I am delivering stuff. Maybe another one I'm, working at a camp or something. But though I'm getting exposed to things, and sometimes at the end of the summer I say I don't ever want to do that job again. But that's good.
Yeah,
I mean, that's good. It costs you very little.
Yeah.
You got the learning experience, and it helps you direct your kids to get those experiences that when they start to come into that time of having to make greater decisions with a longer impact, they go, well, here's what I know I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And then they can go, you know what, but I really had this opportunity. I worked at the summer camp and I just love working with those kids, or I just love doing this or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the things that actually help your kid get closer to where they want to be as an adult.
Both of my brothers knew they wanted to go to college when they helped my dad at his construction business in the summer, and they were jackhammering for hours and hours and hours, and they were just digging up old concrete. I mean, they were like, that was my sign that college was my path.
Yeah.
And then, our boys helped their uncle on the roof. And man, there's nothing better than a young man finding out that he doesn't want to be a roofer. Yeah. Because it's hot.
Well,
and it's hard work.
And you might find out you love it, and you've got a niche for it, and you can make a living out of it. But whatever it is, so job experiences are far more than just making a buck. They are really about exposure to different things. And school, it's got great benefits to it, but school is so limited in what it can actually offer in terms of life experiences for you to make a decision off of.
Yeah. And I wish, speaking of school, hun, they would do this class, because I think our kids really need to learn some money management skills. I mean, I would love for them to do like an economics class or a budgeting 101, because when they walk out the door of school, how do they do life? What do they do with the money in their hands if they do get a job, or their parents do give them money? And so we've really tried to help our kids do some saving, whether it be for their first car or whether it be for college. And then for giving, we try to instill this generosity of, giving and
first fruits,
get back to the Lord. And then the spending. Then, okay, here's the money you have left to spend. And so that way, if they want those new shoes, those $150 shoes, or they want that dirt bike, then they're saving toward those things. And then when they get it, it feels good.
Yeah. So one of the final things, that I think we really do, and especially in today's era, so parents, please listen to what we're going to go in on here. Because of the amount of, I'm just going to say, social isolation, a lack of interaction because of screens, my phone, I can stare at it. Maybe I don't have any pressure to get a job. I have less and less human interaction. And the result is we have 17, 18, 19-year-olds that can't look somebody in the eye when they're addressing them. Their level of confidence in that environment, in that arena, is a fraction of what you may have seen 30 years ago. When I certainly would think of ourselves, hun, like I never even questioned about going out and interacting with people. And we see 17, 18-year-olds that don't have driver's license, that want to, they still hang. And we desired, and I'm not saying this is always a good thing, but we desired to be away from our parents and interacting socially with others. Right. And we have an incredible number of kids who don't want to interact because it provokes an anxiousness in them. So building that confidence by having to make change at the fast food restaurant, by taking orders, those are things that help bring that out.
There's two things, hon, that I did growing up that I think really instilled confidence for me. One of them was my grandmother was in charge of the candy stripers at the local nursing home. And candy stripers were volunteer preteen girls who went around and they would give water or bring the newspaper or take their lunch trays for the seniors at this nursing home. And I found a love of the elderly that some kids are petrified of because they've never walked in the doors, they've never interacted with some elderly folks. And man, that was just such a rich time for me that I just learned to love and enjoy. And they loved me and I loved them. And it was just really fun. So that confidence got built because I was just around that in a volunteer. I didn't get paid in that, but in a volunteer role. And then my other one was babysitting, taking care of a lot of little kids. And I fell in love with just being around kids. And that really inspired me to become a teacher, become a mom. there's some women, young girls, who don't want to have anything to do with kids because they've never changed a diaper,
Right.
they've never
Yeah.
given kid a bottle, and they don't know what that looks like. That builds confidence if you help your kid get a babysitting job or take a babysitting class to help build that confidence
I
up.
can second that. Like the first babies I ever held were my own.
Your own.
And it freaked me out. I'm like, I'm going to break it. I'm going to break it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so those are opportunities to get your kids
Yeah.
different experiences that continue to grow them as people. So
Yeah.
those are great points.
So as we kind of wrap up here about summer and just really engaging our kids, we really do want you to spend some time with your kiddos and to lay out a little bit of what the summer is going to look like. Protect those times of, vacations and summer camps and maybe little projects that you're going to do. And then really look and say, okay, what do we want to do with the rest of the summer? What do we want to make sure that we include? And I really would include this whole idea of some kind of engaging job or role or responsibility. But really, I do want you to take a snapshot, though, a little bit of where your kids are and their stress level. This has been a really difficult year, hun, and we've got a lot of kids who are wound so tight they're about to snap, especially our teenagers, because of the isolation, because of the remote learning and the screens and the disconnect that they've had from their normal routines. It's really put on this stress on our kiddos. So really make sure you assess where your kids are at before you just throw something else on their plate.
But I want to be careful there because helping your child deal with might have been a crazy school year or whatever does not necessarily mean I'm not going to make you do anything this year.
No, I'm not saying that.
Giving them the tools to either express what the stress is and then helping them through the ways and means to get through that stress is probably more critical than just, well, we won't put any stress on you, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's a very maladaptive way of handling stress for the long term. We all will have those stressful times, so working that through with your kid, and in saying that, if your kid is not, if they are laying around and they're driving you crazy, part of our work always is, what are you contributing to your family? What are you contributing to the house itself? To challenge them to be a contributor, and you challenge them by putting those demands on them.
Yeah.
Simple demands: if you want to do this, then you'll have to pay for this, or if you want this freedom, then you'll have to help us out around here. Especially the younger kids. They're not really maybe saving money for a car, but maybe they do want to be able to have a friend over this weekend. Hey, you know what? This is a very great opportunity to say, hey, we will help take care of your need when you, also buy into the idea that you have to help us in our family need.
And I know that a lot of you guys listening are working parents, and it's really stressful, hun. As I said before, but oh my gosh, the summer's begun. There's this panic, not because they don't want to spend time with their kids, but because they know they don't have a ton of time. And so what do you do with them all summer? And I know that for some, there's really difficult decisions that you have to make. But don't let your child just lay around doing nothing. Give them a plan for the day, helping them to kind of see, like you said, daily responsibilities. Like every day you are going to get up and make your bed. You are going to, clean your bathroom once a week or whatever. Like those are things that you just want to include for them to become responsible and resourceful.
Yeah. So it is, summer is quickly approaching. We all have great memories of summer just because of the opportunity to do different things outside, whether it's swimming or going boating or whatever it is. And so let's enjoy it, all right? But let's also make it a great opportunity to even grow more and to help our kids grow. So as we close out, we want to again thank you all for listening and viewing our Rock Solid Radio. And hopefully you find our information and our shows of value. We ask that you share them and pass them around. We want to thank all of the folks who come behind us and just either contribute to us through prayer or through financial donation. Whatever it is, we just ask that you continue to pour into what we are trying to do as we pour into others. We want to thank Maxwell Construction, and we want to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for being the sponsors of our Rock Solid Radio show. So, hun, you got anything to say?
Yeah, well, hey.
Don't say get a job.
Well, actually, speaking of job, just next week, we're going to be talking about man caves and she sheds. And so I'm wondering if maybe the project this summer could be to build me a she shed.
earphones are cracking up.
You're going to have to tune in next week to this
Thanks
show.
again for listening to Rock Solid Radio.
Yeah, seriously, tune in next week as we talk about those man caves and she sheds and honestly those spaces for us as a couple and if they're healthy or not. So we're just letting you
Guys,
know.
I need you to listen in because you might have to help me through that show.
So yeah, let's check it out. So thanks for listening to Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day.
So you're telling me my summer job is to build a she shed?
I don't know. Check next week's.
What am I going to get paid for it?
Check next week's message out. See what it says.
Oh, this is going to be the worst summer ever. Say yeah. Love ya.
Love you.
Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. They offer a wide selection of high-quality plants, landscaping materials, and home decor. They do amazing high-quality work and can help you transform your indoor and outdoor living spaces into something beautiful. So stop by Casey's Outdoor Solutions today and let them know you appreciate their support for Rock Solid Radio. Visit Casey's today at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana.